the best win after a bad performance. But heck, the first half was a bad performance, and the end of the half was a bad performance. Then they come out, the Titans do, go down, score a touchdown, get it to 24-16, then immediately give up that, which we got so much to talk about here. I feel like we're
talking
drinking
about the
from
blown coverage, right?
The blown coverage. They immediately give up the blown coverage, and then from there, that was it. They just choked them out. They didn't they got nothing after that. But it was even a complete tale of two halves in that game. But, man, the defense played lights out in the second half. The run game started clicking. Tannehill, took a beating earlier and just kept on chucking it. There were drops by the receivers, but they made big plays. And then you always have unlikely people who turn out to be, sort of like the heart and soul. And we had a caller yesterday on the Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company, and the guy was like, man, Michael Pruitt was the emotional leader. He got those cats fired up. He was basically trying to fight everybody in the stadium, and that changed everything. He was ready to fight.
Yeah, it's always funny. It's always somebody who you would have never expected. It's never the superstars, though.
Right.
And so Michael Pruitt, I went back and watched the game. That's kind of when things kind of start turning more so into Titans' way. And I won't say that it intimidated them, but it let them know that you're the big bully. You're in your house, and we're not standing for it. We're going to keep fighting you. We're going to keep fighting you. And he came and then he made an impactful catch down the middle when they were backed up. And that, to me, that play there, and he just jumped up, and then he just runs off the field both times when he's almost getting in a scuffle because he was, he was out.
Right.
They were bringing in the next play. He knew he wasn't in. So I thought that was just as big. But, yeah, he got all up in their faces. So, I thought that was huge. It might have been the turning point, but nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about, in the King naturally in 182 yards. And the O-line had to play pretty well to get to that. But Tanny time. Tannehill did really well, man. I think it's under the radar. I know he was 27 for 40 for 347, 94, passer rating. I think some of that gets taken away for sacks, but man, he was clutch. It's one of, I don't know how many times I think Glenn had put it out there. Maybe this 9th or 10th time he had to come back and maybe
I got it.
In Titans, which is pretty impressive, especially where it was at. Yep. That's the key. And it was the home game, and they never lose. Remember, I gave you the stat. Once they're up by 14 or more, I think they were 52-0. Now they're 52-1.
So literally, never. When you say
happened.
Never, it had never happened.
Yeah. And then naturally they warmed down, and then Henry broke the ice with the long run, and they got frustrated on defense. They were frustrated, but there was a lot of I'm already gonna give out my ding dong. The refereeing all the way over, both sides, all the way around. It was horrific. Inconsistencies. I mean, me and you were talking. They could have called a penalty on Simmons. He threw his helmet off after he thought they sacked for a safety to win it. So that was a good coaching moment because they didn't catch it, naturally. But that was a bad call. The first down mark was bad by that referee. I mean, they were a yard off. It was clear as day. It was almost like, did she put her hand backwards and then get paid, like, to mark that ball? It was that bad. It was egregious.
Yeah.
And I've always been a proponent. Let me say this. Refereeing is hard. Let's get that out the way. It is. But every time they make horrific boo-boos, I think they should get fined. Yeah. I really do. I've said this for years. Players get fined for horrific plays. And guess what? It'll start making you pay attention to the details, and you'll start making better calls. If not, you can go to replay. You got it right there. Yep. So, no, they should get fined instead of getting a slap on the wrist. Oh, well, you won't get the referee in the playoff, or we'll make you the sixth team, referee team to do the bottom of the barrel games. Oh, really? That really taught them a lesson. So, no.
You're still an NFL ref. What a lesson.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Bad refereeing. I don't know if anybody got it. I didn't even like the call when they called, a penalty on the Seahawks kid for taunting. I'm like, man, this is an emphasis of really? Come on, man. Now, I want them to emphasize that every time somebody gets up and goes first down while the guy's standing there on the ground and he just finished tackling, you jump up and get first down, that's taunting.
What about this? So Lamar Jackson can turn a flip running into the end zone.
That's taunting.
Yeah, but
I feel like we're playing college football now.
Yeah.
That was awesome, though.
Every little
But
thing.
they didn't call that for taunting, though, right?
No,
No, they did not.
I
They
thought
didn't give a
might,
penalty
too.
at all.
He turned a flip going in the end zone with nobody around him, and that's not taunting? I mean, I've seen people get called for
And you know
stuff
where
like
this
that.
all goes when Winfield waved at him. I thought that was horrible in that Super Bowl.
Oh,
and they
I
gave
know.
a penalty.
I know.
Well, when he did the backflip the time they played him early in the season,
Yeah.
that wasn't a penalty.
Right.
He stopped and taunted the entire team, Tyreek Hill, and did a backflip before he got to the end zone.
I saw it.
So, yeah, that you can't be calling that. You got to do something way, way, way out there for me. So, no, that's somebody who reads the rule and says, that's what the rule says. Well, there's some human element to it, and you got to know how the game goes, and that guy was not, I don't care if he looked at him briefly for a second or not. That was not egregious to be calling that penalty. Sorry, Charlie. So there was a lot of things. Missed field goals, made field goals, third down stops. It was, oh, man, it was roughing the kicker? Woo! The punter?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Your boy, Akina.
Who, by the way, I think got a target again before Julio or AJ. He caught a pass, too. Had one pass, one penalty, a double single.
Yeah, so it was a lot of things going on. But one thing you can say, resolve, resiliency, staying in the game, believing, fighting, throwing the punch back, they did it. And that's how they supposed to look. You got to look. This game looks exactly like I was supposed to look. I didn't know if they was going to win or not, but they was not going to look like how they looked the first game. And that's the NFL players, the competitive nature. They're not going to go out there and stink it up 2 games in a row. I knew that. And without Lawan. So I'm hoping today we have a press conference at 2 o'clock with Vrabel, Coach Vrabel, and maybe he'll give us a little bit more detail on the extent of the injury, if it's worse or better, or just something that happened, and we wanted to err on the side of caution.
Yeah. Well, that happened before the game, so obviously you're looking around saying, we got 16 games
I finally
left.
saw the video, too.
Yeah.
He was just doing a blocking drill with a coach with a pad.
That's it.
It didn't look like it was something like where you were like, uh-oh. And he fell down. And he was, to your point, limping a lot. Like, woo. They had him going into the tunnel. So, yeah, those guys stepped up, the O-line. Umbrello, Lamb, Quisenberry. Hey, man, they did their job, man. Hey, I hope they have some incentives in their contract to get paid a little bit more. That was tough sledding there, man. They put the Seahawks D-line in check. I mean, they won more than they lost. Put it that way. And they wore him down. Henry, they wore him down. And they did exactly what I've been begging for. Second half, throw on first down. Use the passing game to open up the running game.
There you go.
Stop being so predictable. Other teams watch the film too.
Right. There's plenty of film on this team and what they do. There's a lot of film out there.
Yeah, you do it for like 3 games and you come back to your bread and butter and to start running the ball back again on first down. Told you. And then next you know, he slices and dices you and then outruns everybody.
60 yards again.
Pounds you. 182 yards, man.
Yeah.
So he averaged 120 yards, in the first 2 games already. That's where he's at. This is Derrick Henry, man. I can't believe he continues to do this, man. This guy's amazing.
That was the most carries he's ever had in a game.
And catches.
And catches, both. It was the most carries and the most catches in the game.
Screenplay was working. Woo.
How long have we been waiting to see that work? And they hit a couple of those rascals.
Yeah. Something about the Seahawks. Yeah, that's where CJ2K had a good day, too.
Yeah. Went over 2K up there. That's where the magic happened. He should have had a lot more, but he had the dumbest play. I remember he had a long run call back, or CJ would have the all-time record.
I thought they called a phantom holding or
they
something.
They did.
Yeah, I was like, what? I looked at every single lineman. No way. So, hey, but a win's a win's a win.
There you go.
Man,
Sounds
you got to be excited
times.
if you're a Titan fan. You stole that one. From greatness now, Russell Wilson. They were frustrated. He couldn't do anything in the second half, really. I think after the first drive, they were good to go.
He had 131 of his passing yards on 2 plays. Two plays, which were essentially busts. One was a solid bust, and the other one was the guy caught it between McDougald and Molden, and they ran into each other. And then
they yanked Molden after that, so Jackson was out there after that.
All right, the phone lines are ringing. It's time for Ding Dong of the Week. Blaine's he's already exposed his ding dong for the segment. He's giving it to the officials.
Exposed.
I think there's a lot of official ding dongs out there. Maybe you got a different one. Mark Spain Real Estate makes that happen. Ding Dong of the Week. Phone lines are open. Colt is calling from Memphis. Colt, if you will hold, we'll come to you. Somebody else is calling in now, ringing. So here's the deal. Next segment is all yours. This is your segment. The rest of the hour, we're going to talk Titans. We're going to react to it. You got a college game you want to talk about, whatever it is, man. This is Monday. Titans get the win, and we got lots to discuss. It's Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
From preseason, regular season, and the playoffs, we got you covered. Oh, wow. The Titan Station, 104.5 The Zone.
Let me tell you a little bit about this term called rent estate. I learned about it from my friends at Renter every time Coach Mack laughs during the broadcast, an angel gets its wings. I just know that that's what happens because it's when something's going great or somebody just gets blown up or a Titan makes an unbelievable play. And Mike is just calling it like he calls it, which Mike's the best in the business, and so is Coach Mack, and he's just laughing, or sometimes he'll just yell, yes, yes, yes. It's all just fantastic. Oh, my gosh. If you're watching TV and you're not turning down the TV volume listening to Mike and Mac, you're just doing it wrong. Please understand that, and you need to get with it so you understand just how great it is. It's time for Ding Dong of the Week. Brought to you by Mark Spain Real Estate. Go to markspain.com and get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. That's what he'll tell you to do. Blaine has shared one ding dong. You actually have two ding dongs this week. And I know Lucas has a ding dong.
I do. I was trying to. Oh, here it is right here. Yeah. Arkansas kicker was warming up to kick the extra point. And, the Hogs.
I know.
And while he was practicing right there in front of everybody while they're lining up, he kicks his leg up and falls and busts his butt. Yeah, he fell and got right back up and then kicked the field goal. I thought that was hilarious because I couldn't kick at all, let alone kick my leg up that high. So I would probably fall too. But I am not a kicker. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I retweeted it, by the way, so I'm sure everybody saw it if they follow me. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. You got to have some fun with the ding dongs too.
And kickers are just like, oh, man, okay, all right. Now, I'll just get that dude probably wasn't even embarrassed. Okay, that's my warm-up. I'll go kick it now. Oh, yeah. All right, we're all good. Yeah. Lucas, do you care to share your ding-dong with the listening audience today?
Yeah, mine's actually kicker-related as well.
Wow.
And I have some audio paired with
ding-dongs all over the place here.
So
okay.
one of the best things I've learned from Mike Keith as far as radio play-by-play in football.
Oh, I know what this
is when you're kicking a field goal, when the team you're calling is kicking a field goal, always, no matter how obvious it is, no matter how sure you think you are, you wait for the referee's arms to go up or to give the no-good signal. This was the Minnesota Vikings radio network as Greg Joseph missed a field goal at the death to lose to the Cardinals.
High snap, put down. Joseph, come on! It is good! No, he missed it. Good. Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
Oh, my heavens.
Oh, my.
He was so committed.
Oh, no.
He was so committed to that call.
he wanted for that to air all over ESPN, the NFL Network, but it's like, oh, no, he missed it.
Been waiting for that call his whole life.
Oh, man.
Always wait to see what the referees indicate.
Yeah. I think Mike can tell you that he did that one time because it looked like it was good.
Yeah, that's why there's always
everybody
that
on
pause.
TV thought it was too.
There's that pause that feels like an eternity during the Titans field goals, like there was in that last field goal by Bullock. It's because Mike is waiting for the referee's arm signal, as he should.
Vought's not going to mess anything like that up. Mine is just all officials. The Memphis punt return where two guys from Mississippi State touched the ball. An official walked up, waved his arms, and threw the little black marker down to mark the ball. And the Memphis guy just picked it up and took it, ran it for a touchdown. I got no beef with Memphis because I know we got some Memphis Tiger listeners. The play was blown dead by an official who everyone just ignored that. So he just ran down the field and they called it a touchdown. Again, no beef with Memphis fans. I give all the credit to that guy for just picking up the ball and trying. But official, you had marked it dead. Have a set of man parts and live up to your call and say, I blew it dead. That's it. Keep it moving. Boise State lost to TD. I stayed up and watched their game. There was a bang-bang play. A guy got hit and fumbled. The ball bounced up in the air. Boise player caught it, ran it in for a touchdown. They said, no, we blew it dead.
Oh, that's the worst.
And they review.
That was worse than the safety that we didn't get a safety. They blew it dead.
They blew that dead.
Yeah, the Titans.
The back was a foot and a half off the ground when the ball came out. Then he hit, and the ball bounced up in the air. So Boise got screwed, lost the game. The missed down in the Auburn-Penn State game where
they made him kick on third down.
Yeah.
Did you see what they asked James Franklin at halftime when they did the interview?
The look on his face.
He went mute. He went. And then ran off. I thought that was the perfect non-answer that you could give,
He could not have played that better than James Franklin did.
That was great.
The missed Julio TD. Some people say they thought his heel was on the white. I don't. And there's a picture that definitively shows that it wasn't.
I saw.
The missed third down spot, which was a whole
I learned
yard.
a rule, though, by the way, before you go through all your – you look like you got like 10 ding-dongs today.
My ding-dongs is growing by the minute here.
But I learned a rule. I didn't know. I thought it was when you touch anything inbounds with your toe, the play is over and you now score. Because in my mind, I thought that's a touchdown, regardless if his heel comes borderline close or not. I don't think you could overrun. That's kind of how I was thinking. Because I go, well, dang, soon as the ball touches the plane – when you're diving for a touchdown,
right?
It's a touchdown, and they fumble it, and it goes out of bounds.
Yeah,
it goes into the end zone and out of bounds. Well, the play's over as soon as it touches the plane. So I learned a new rule.
Me too.
But I'm always learning new rules. I mean, not new rules, but rules that I did not know. I think a lot of people learn that.
Stereotour on the broadcast, which nothing is more worth. A screen door on a submarine is more useful than the explanations from the on-TV official, because every time whatever they say, the officials always call the opposite thing. This is 100% going to get overturned, and then it doesn't or whatever. So Stereotour comes on, and he did say this. If you tap your toe and then go out of bounds, you're fine. If you tap your toe and your heel pops down, then if your heel is out, then you're out. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Although the Titans have a picture, and it sure looks like there's green behind the blue of his shoe. I don't think he was out. I don't think he was. Now, my wife watched it, and she goes, his heel's on the white. I said, I do not see what you see.
Right.
She suggested
when they kept showing the replay, it looked like he was out. The heel did barely touch. It looked like it. Now, you could only see when you're talking about the picture you saw on the internet or where social media. But when you saw a lot, it's because he had on those blue cleats. So you could actually see that it was just barely out. It looked from perception on the TV. Now, when you zoom in on it, it goes, ooh, it's really close.
But regardless, the discussion shows you that the whole thing is clear and obvious, right? Just the entire discussion as a whole.
Right, it wasn't clear.
It's not enough to overturn.
Overturn.
To even have this long of a debate for it.
Well, that was my thing. If it takes you this long, you're trying to overturn it.
And if it was called incomplete on the field, then it should have stayed incomplete. If it was called a touchdown on the field, it should have stayed a touchdown.
Well, Lucas, I like where your head's at on this. All right, we've shared our ding-dongs with you. I know we got a bunch of people who just want to talk about the game. We'll talk Titans and Seahawks. Then if you want to slip a ding-dong in there as well, you can do it. Colt in Memphis was on first. Every time we do this, I say things I regret. Colt in Memphis will be up first.
Ding-dong in there if you want to.
What's up, Colt? How you doing, man?
Doing
all right,
What's
man.
going
on?
How about you?
On the, I guess this is part of a ding dong, but this is just one of my biggest pet peeves. But it actually worked once yesterday, and then one time it didn't. But when we're in short yardage and we get in shotgun, it makes me cringe every single time. And I know it gives you options, and actually the Tennessee Volunteers did it last week, and it actually blew up in their face. Those guys, the coaches did a great job yesterday. But it drives me crazy when I see us, in shotgun in a short yardage situation. Although it worked yesterday, and we did end up scoring, I think, one time. A related note, we were in short yardage yesterday, and we ended up throwing on either third or maybe fourth and short. And Derrick Henry's not even on the field. So to see that, it's just like, goodness gracious, what are we doing? On a positive note, and then I'll get off here and listen, got to give props to the O-line coaches and just the coaching staff in general. Obviously, Lawan goes out early in the game. Saffold's in and out of the game. I think our center, Ben Jones, goes down. And they just kept figuring it out. And, you had a lot of three tight end sets trying to – and I don't know if that was the game plan going in, but just trying to kind of piece it together to figure out a way to give ourselves the best chance to keep picking up first downs. And something I think, was very telling and shows you just, how good of a team player he is. Didn't have the best day catching the ball yesterday, wasn't a focal point of the offense, but A.J. Brown blocked his ass off, and he was a huge reason for, a lot of the big runs. And, man, he'll get in there and put his head in there. So, props to the coaching staff for just adjusting and figuring out a way to get out of there with a win. So I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, Colt, that was a very thorough phone call, man.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with everything he said. And I was with him too when they were in shotgun on short yardage. I was like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, we got to get under center. And the play work, I was like,
A good call.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, making calls from the couch, man. It's always a lot easier.
I'm defeated from the couch.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Yeah, so, that was the only way. I just trust me. I was thinking the exact same thing. A lot of things can go wrong. I know you have more options, but I think in the league you kind of stay close to the vest, but he was in shotgun.
Eric in Nashville wants to share his ding-dong with the Blaine and Mickey world. What's going on, Eric? Thanks for calling the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
To the Titans game and late games in a minute, but my ding-dong of the week, this is actually a guy that's not in football, is not coaching right now, and in my opinion should never have another NFL head coaching job again, and that is Adam Gase, because the way Brian Tannehill's played since he got away from him in Miami, and I look at Sam Darnold. I know it's just 2 games, so it's just small sample size, but the coach he has with Rule, way he's used Christian McCaffrey, the defense and everything, and unless he just totally tanks it or gets injured or something happens, I think the Carolina Panthers have an extra shot to make the playoffs. So it just goes to show he does not know talent or knows how to utilize the talent he has. So my ding-dong goes to Adam Gase.
No.
Hey, Eric, thanks for putting your ding-dong on our show. Hey,
He
man.
knew Peyton Manning was a Hall of Famer. That's what he did. He rode those coattails.
Yeah. Ryan Tannehill, look at his stats. That's a great point by Eric, and we've talked about it just a teeny tiny bit before, but Ryan Tannehill's a completely different statistical quarterback away from Adam Gase. Like his touchdown percentage is way up. His interception percentage is way down. His everything. And remember, we looked, and he averaged, what was it, like an interception a game or something?
Yeah.
Literally, like an interception a game. And it's half that now for Tannehill. It's a completely different guy.
I'm glad we got him. People were laughing at me. It was doing all kind of, like Miami, radios, and they were literally laughing at me when I was saying he should be in the MVP conversation. I didn't say he should win it.
Right.
I mean, nobody. I said this guy is one of the top 10 quarterbacks last year based off his performance.
He is.
Sorry.
And he was even better the year before, but it was only 10 games. He was even better the year before.
Yeah,
he was the most efficient quarterback in the league.
He was horrific.
Adam Gase.
Miami Dolphins. Yeah. I'm bad. Like, well, I don't know. Well, all I can do is judge what I'm seeing here. And he showed up, man. He's big. He was big. Him and the King, the O-line, they did it. They did it. They came back. They responded.
Sure did. We have Steven in Franklin and Steve in Franklin. It's a real thing. Let's get Steve and then Steven. Hello, Steve from Franklin. Welcome to Blaine and Mickey.
Hey, legally it's Steven, so there's 2 of us down here.
Well, I'm a Steven as well, so there's 3 on the line right now.
Are you giving
Right
ding-dongs
on.
or 2 Steven ding-dongs? Or are you just talking about the Titans?
I'm calling to talk about play calling. So I heard you say something about it earlier, Blaine, and I agree. I wonder if this is one of the costs that we're going to have to face having lost Arthur Smith. I watched all the games last year 2 or 3 times, and we came out with play action. We came out with short passes. We came out with some bombs. We came out with Tannehill doing a boot on first down, all over the place. Yeah. To the tight ends and Jonnu, all that stuff. And I'm really surprised that they aren't sticking with that formula of passing to open up the run. Because Derrick Henry, we all know, he's a second-half beast. Nobody can stop him in the second half. And when we spread him out in the first half, that gives him that little extra bit that he needs in the first half. So all that to say is I wonder what's behind that. If it's Todd is just not as creative as Arthur, or if it's Todd's not the yes, Arthur wasn't the yes man that Todd is, and this is Vrabel's doing. I wonder. I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that. To me, that seems like it's going to haunt us all year if we don't get that straightened out. Great win, though. Tighten up. I love our players. I'm still not convinced about our coordinators. Love to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Appreciate it, Steve, a.k.a. Steven.
Yeah, good call, Steven, there. You know what it is? I think, just like players, play callers are also rusty. We getting to see him now. He adapted. I got to give him that. And what worked. And he can't try to be Arthur Smith, even though he's running the same offense. And he probably won't be as good as Arthur. Arthur Smith had a lot of background, was a coordinator for his second year. And I'm sure he learned a lot of things from, year 1 or 2. And I know this is not down his first rodeo. but it is in this offense calling the style of plays that Vrabel wants. So I would say he picked it up pretty quick watching game 1 to game 2. So hopefully he continues to progress. And in this game, he went from game 2 from one half to another half.
Yep.
And he switched it up. So I think, Arthur Smith kind of played, chess, and Todd Downing is learning how to play chess. He's getting close. He's starting to pick it up, and he's doing a good job at this point in time. We couldn't tell anything in the first game because everybody played so horrific. So I would say just give patience. And he'll start getting more comfortable, and you got to, start calling things against, the things that you've been, doing the years before.
Right.
And I think that's where Arthur Smith was really great. It wasn't like he was, this imaginative, play caller. He was just playing the odds. Oh, last week or the last 2 weeks we did this on first down. Let's do this. Catch him off balance. And that's all you want to do to a defense. Because you studied all week. They run this on first down 99% of the time.
Right.
Right. That's coach talking, right? And then you come out and you run that boot on first play. You go, oh, crap, coach. Instead, Todd Downing, the first game versus Arizona, he was doing it like on second down, so after you got stuffed on first down. So, it's hit or miss. But I thought it was good enough to, in this game to win. And then eventually the players just executed. They really did. I think if you go back, coaches would probably say, well, we didn't do a lot different than we did the game before. They just played better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What you and Kevin Dyson said repeatedly after the first game was they're going to go watch the film and realize 10 guys did their job on this one particular play. One guy didn't. The play got blown up.
Yeah.
10 guys did their job on the next play. One guy didn't.
Different guy took turns making
different
mistakes.
guy. Okay, then that's why this play got blown up. If they straighten that up, if 11 guys will do their job on more plays, they'll win the game. They still made mistakes yesterday, but on more plays than not, 11 guys did their job. Yeah. And we could get into a bunch of the ways that they did it, but and we'll continue to do that. But the thing you pointed out last night was they're going to watch the film and they won, but they're going to go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Yeah. You said you can really get some great critique after a win because coaches can point out, hey, but
right. And that's what I was trying to explain yesterday. It's like everybody thinks it's all hunky-dory because you won the game when you're watching film. Well, guess what? That's when the coaches kind of notch it up even more, like of all the different mistakes that you made. And we can probably name half of them when we're watching it. We're just not watching individuals. But as a group, as a team, you can, point out the mistakes, running to the kicker, these things that didn't, cost them in winning the game. But individually, they made mistakes all over the place. And you think, oh, man, you walk out of there like, oh, man, I feel as bad as the last game. And it keeps you even keeled and motivated to continue to do well and play to the best of your ability, really. And then, as a young player, and then as you get older, year 3 and 4, you start saying, I'm going to critique myself because now you know everything you need to be doing, and nobody's going to critique me harder than me.
Right.
Like if I walked out of there with less than 80%, I'm pissed. And trust me, that did not happen very often. And I was still pissed. Just because if we lost. Yeah. So in my mind, every player should be thinking, I didn't do enough. Yeah. You don't want a guy coming, oh, man, I did my job.
Right.
I did my job. Really? Well, you didn't do enough, man. Nobody can think like that. And I think that's the type of players that Vrabel has. I mean, when you see the wide receiver, A.J. Brown, who has some drops, make, the big block for, the king to break loose on the long run. Yeah. That sprung it, man. And all he did was give him one more little push, and boom, there it was. Guess what? I said that last week. If LaJuan would have been able to give Chandler Jones just a little more push so he could bounce it on that first play of the game, that's all he needed. And he would have been off to the races again.
All right, we got to get off to the races. Phone lines are still ringing. Look, Wayne, Steven, Corey, hold on. We will get to you when we come back. I promise you we'll come back to the phones. Blaine and Mickey, 1045, The Zone.
J. Martin Ramon, still saying it how we wanna.
Clemson's quarterback and trying to figure out how to pronounce it. I've looked it up. So it's Taisun. That's pronounced Tyson. And Phommachanh. So it's Tyson Pumachan. Really? TP. Tyson Pumachan.
All of that just to say Pumachan?
Yep.
Kumite.
Tyson Pumachan.
Booty Tang.
Tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 on 1045 The Zone.
Well, the NFL. Ken, love to hear about that, too. We had Steve from Franklin, who was actually Steven. Now we have Steven from Franklin, who is also actually Steven. Steven, welcome to Blaine and Mickey, a.k.a. Steven.
No,
Michael.
I'm actually Steve. No,
I see what you did there.
Hey, guys, just number one, wanted to say proud of the team. I mean, they were just absolutely clutch, especially the offensive line, with Saffold and Jones playing through injuries and sort of still getting it done, taking care of Tannehill. So super stoked about that. Agree with some of the callers. I don't understand how on some clutch plays when you're not sure if they're running or passing. There was one instance in which Julio Jones was on the sidelines, and it's like, okay, if he had at least been on the field, then they would have thought maybe they were going to go to him, and it opened up some opportunities for Derek. And then there were some times when Derek was on the sideline. It's like, even if you're not going to give the ball to him, make the defense think you are by putting him on the field. Didn't really understand that. But really my ding-dong award goes to Lewan. Man, I'm so tired. That guy's such a drama queen. And it seems like he figures out a way to miss a game every time it's clutch, and I just tired of that. So anyway, that's all I had to say. Hope you guys have a good one. Enjoy listening to you.
I appreciate the phone call.
I always hear that about Lewan, too. Yeah, he's this drama queen. He just likes the drama. And then when they really need him, he just don't show up. He's a fake hard person. And when I say that, I'm talking about like tough guy. But people say all the time, I don't know if that's true or not. I hope he's not seriously injured.
Yeah.
And that he'll be able to come back at some point. Because, he's still, even an injured Lewan should be able to be better than the guys that they had out there. But those guys stepped up, so you got to give it to them. Now, here's the reason why most of the time you're a backup. Can you do this continuously week in and week out? Yeah. Usually a backup flashes at times, but then you say, that's why he's really our security blanket. So I want to see if you can put, 3 or 4 games together and do that. Maybe they want to have an opportunity to do that. We don't know the situation with Lewan, but I hope he gets healthy, even if it's just for his own sake, not just for the team. Speaking about guys, I noticed exactly what the caller's talking about, and I was curious, too, on, why Julio was out. I was shocked when he was out. It was 3rd down, I think, the time I saw it. It's kind of a thing, too, with receiver. Sometimes after a catch, they always just run out. It perturbs me. Okay, after I just imagine this. I play corner. After that, I get beat for a long pass, I run out. I'm tired, man. That was a long run, man. Let me go out. Man, our coaches would look at us like crazy. So it just shows you the pedigree, really, it's innate in the NFL with offensive players, how they're treated, to the defensive players. Every team does it. Right. Every receiver catches a pass, catch a curl, I'm going out. What? Stay out there. The real good ones typically don't do that. They literally have to, sprain my finger or, oh, man, that was a big-time hit. I'm kind of woozy, But, yeah, it's kind of the culture, a lot of guys do that. My son tried to do that, too, in high school. I said, don't do that ever again. Just because you ran long and caught that ball, run back to the huddle.
Yeah.
You get in their heads. Yeah, you don't do that.
I don't get tired.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what you're trying to send out the message.
All day.
No different than you don't want to see your hands on your hips.
Right.
You don't want to be bent over. All those little, tell signs of what's going on with you. So yeah, that's a pet peeve, man. But I'm a defensive minded guy, and we never get any breaks. So that's, the offensive guys.
It's a double standard, though. You ran just as far to cover the guy. Oh, man, jog on down and play the next play.
And then you go against the next fresh victim.
Who comes in, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Jogs off the
you're
bench.
going to be the victim. He's fresh legs. That's always funny to me.
Let's get Frazier and Matt and Juliet next. What's going on, Frazier? Frazier, you there? Oh, he sniped himself. Frazier having some tossed salad and scrambled eggs. Let's get
maybe less Frazier.
Spencer in Nashville. What's going on, Spencer, for hire?
Hey, guys. Hope y'all are doing well today on this Victory Monday. Wanted to chat about A.J. Brown and his performance yesterday.
Ooh.
Seemed like he dropped some pretty key passes there. Julio, fortunately, made up the ground for him, but wanted to get y'all's thoughts on his game yesterday.
Well, I would say it was up and down, but he had opportunities to impact the game, and he missed some of those.
Yeah.
I remember the one down the seam, and it wasn't like the safety was going to be right there to hit him. He had a couple steps, and he usually pulls that in. A guy like that is probably already anticipating what he's going to do when he catches it because he knows he's coming.
Right.
Whether it was going to be a spin move or stop cut or jump cut or something. So I just think he needs to, make sure he looks the ball in. I think I recall this at the beginning of the year last year, though. I remember I think he dropped a touchdown. It was here at home, too. It might have been the first home game, if I can recall. So there's times he does drop the ball, and then, what's so funny is a lot of people always make excuses when good players, do something, that's not so good.
Right.
He'll get it there. Nah. When you turn on that tape, man, I don't want to see that. People drop the ball, and nobody's going to be perfect. But he had like 2 or 3. Even Julio had one that he had in his paws, and he was trying to turn around. I don't know what he was doing, trying to turn and run. It was like a curl route or something like that. And, man, I thought that was I thought it should have been a catch. Now, nothing's easy in this game, but for him, then you make a spectacular catch in the end zone, and they say no touchdown. So, yeah, it happens, but we got to shore it up, though. Coaches are going over it. Rob Moore is a great wide receiver himself and a good wide receiver coach. Got to stay even keel, though. But he's got to pull those in. And we expect it out of him. What's expected out of great players is more than the norm.
Absolutely.
If that was Westbrook Akina, we wouldn't even be talking about it right now.
Yeah, I was looking through my notes. You're talking. I had 11 drop at least 3 times in my notes yesterday, charting the game. Let's squeeze in one more quick one.
And it's another thing on drops, real quick. You can pick the call up real quick. I need people to stop saying it's a drop if the DB knocks it out of their hand. I don't know how that's done statistically, but I think it's still considered a drop, and I don't believe that should be a drop. If the DB knocks it out of their hand, that's called a PBU. Yeah. That's not a drop. So I think a lot of people, Lucas needed help like that in high school, so he wanted to make sure he said he didn't drop any balls. He got all kind of PBUs.
That is why that's considered a drop, yeah.
Okay. Brian in Nashville, real quick, man, what you got before we finish up this hour?
Hey, how y'all doing, man?
Hey, good.
All right.
Good. My comment is on Taylor Lewan. I think it's time to move on from him. In the 2,000-yard season, he really wasn't there for that. The end of the season before that, when Derrick Henry had a great end of the season, he really wasn't there for that. And he wasn't there for the almost 200-yard day yesterday. Like you said, he's not there for big games. And I think Taylor's done with football in his mind. And I think we just need to move on from Lewan.
Well, I know people are feeling all kind of ways about him right now. They're not going to move on from him this year. I mean, let's see what happens. First of all, let's just see how he's doing after what happened yesterday. Yeah. Let's see how he is health-wise. Let's see what happens the rest of this year. Then certainly we'll take a look at anytime you got a big cap number, there's always going to be a lot of eyes on you. When you're a first-round draft pick and you made the Pro Bowl and you get a big, big contract like he did, people are going to have real strong feelings about you. And they got real strong feelings about that guy.
Yeah, well, I think if you start looking, and I said this before the seasons that they did really well without Lewan. Now, you don't want a healthy Lewan, you think you're better. There's no doubt about it. But if he's going to continue down this road, I was looking at the salary cap numbers. I think they can kind of get out of his contract after this season pretty easy with not a huge cap hit. So that is probably highly possible and likely. And a lot of people say even, after the PEDs, he hasn't been the same player. And I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't even know what he was taking or not taking. I have no idea. But I could see why people would say that.
Let's do this. We'll take a break. Mike Vrabel set to speak to the press. Our plan is to go to that live next. You'll hear from the Titans head coach. It's Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
The Titans went west and got a win against the Seahawks in their 12th man.
Snap, set, kick. Got it! Yes! How about these Titans? Yes! 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 The impossible situation possible.
Talk about it all day on your flagship for Titans Radio. 104.5 The Zone.
Well, when I first met Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert, I was blown away, by their customer service, their great rates, all the things that make them a great loan mortgage bank. But I was even more blown away by Ryan and his people and the heart that they have for giving. Ryan joins us now. Ryan, I love your company, and I love how much you give back. That's such a big part of what you do at the home loan expert.
it's what drives us to keep growing. In all honesty, it's no longer about the paycheck or anything like that. The larger we grow the home loan expert, the more dollars and awareness we can raise, the more good we can do. If you go back to our infancy at the beginning of time, I mean, we were really always looking for that ways to use our growth to find ways to help the communities that we serve. And you can maybe look at some of our Climb for the Kids is a great example. And so many people that listen to this show every day have donated to our Climb for the Kids in years past. Huge thank you to everybody that's ever donated as we climb mountains raising money for children battling life-threatening disease. We launched a foundation, going into the beginning of this year, the Keep Climbing Foundation, where we climb mountains all around the world and, again, raise money for local community nonprofits. We partnered up
Saffold, he said right now no updates. They will know more going through the week. So no new information on Saffold and Lawan, but we join the rest of Mike Vrabel's press conference live here on The Zone.
And, but they battled, they competed. They got us a couple times on some pressures on third down that, we have to be better on. But they gave us a chance to win. That unit certainly gave us a chance to win. And, Ty stepping in there, that's something that he's done in the past. And then, Bruce stepping in there and being in there for Roger. That's kind of what we expect of them. And, they did that.
Mike, what is it that when the line is kind of patchwork like that Derek seems to run a little stronger, harder? Can you put your finger on anything as to why that seems to work so well?
I don't know. Maybe the guys that are in there, playing hard and trying to get some extra efforts. And I'm not sure if Derek knows the difference, but maybe it's just a good coincidence.
Guys like Michael Pruitt, Jeremy McNichols, maybe give you a spark in the game, and how much does that do for a team when you've got guys when they step in and perform like they did?
Well, we did a nice job of hitting some of those checkdowns that when they took off and got some depth. Ryan was able to find some completions and help us out with a check down, whether that be Derek or Jeremy or Prue.
Times about how teams use speed in the slot a lot more as their slot receiver. Is that something Elijah's getting used to, you think, as well? Is that something he has to adjust to?
I mean, I think that, there's a lot of ways that you can do your job, and I think that he probably has to understand, what his skill set is and what the other player's skill set is, and be able to try to disrupt them and, find different ways to cover them. And, that was one of the big plays, and, we couldn't get him on the ground when he did catch it down the field. That, they're going to catch passes and they're going to make some plays. We just have to, be able to get them on the ground and limit the X-play touchdown.
Opinion how the non-safety was ruled at the end for progress for the quarterback, and just anything on film that made you think potentially could have been called a game ender?
No. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and debate the officiating. They didn't see it as a safety, and apparently they saw it as in the grasp and called a sack, and that's what it was.
On that last drive, I know you talked yesterday about whether you go for two or not. When do you make that call even before you guys get the ball? Do you make it during the drive, or when does that decision take place?
It probably takes place, well before that, when we take possession and just thinking, obviously, here we are, if we get into the drive, right, if we get a first down, you're probably in 4-down territory. If you don't, you're probably going to, punt and try to use, 3 timeouts. Then once you get into the drive, it's, right, we're in 4 down. And then, knowing that, how much time do they have left, and do you feel like, they're going to be able to come back and attempt a field goal or kick a field goal, right? So they get down there low, and we kind of figured that we were going to kick the extra point.
I've got a question from the audience. Corey just wants to know about your team's response to adversity and just what that says about the culture.
Who's this from, Emily? It's from Corey Curtis. Oh, I thought you were having it from like an actual fan or somebody. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's kind of who we are, and that's something that we have to embrace. We have to be able to build on the efforts that we played with in the second half, understand what got us to that point to eliminate those, our ability to take care of the football, our ability to score in the red zone, our ability to get off the field, our ability not to we have to play better in 2 minutes at the end of half. Let them out of bounds 4 times. It's inexcusable not to look over and get the call. All those types of things. But the silver lining is who we want to be, and sometimes what we have been here in the past kind of came to light there in the second half. So hopefully we can build on it. It's my job to show everybody what it is that we can be in that environment. with those circumstances there in the second half.
How big is it to have a win like this where you're overcoming so much adversity early on in the season when you inevitably face some adversity down the road?
Yeah, there's always going to be adversity every week. There's going to be something that happens. There's going to be things that come up, situations that come up. You know, you want to try to be as consistent and as calm and controlled as you can be prepared for things, and then, you know, allow the players to go play. And I'm just, you know, proud of the way that they played in the second half, you know, and at a lot of times in the first half. You know, for us, our ability to put a long drive together. Unfortunately, it ended in a field goal, but, you know, there was a lot of great things going on that long drive offensively, you know, defensively. Just have to continue to make them earn it and not hand them things, and then find a way to play better on special teams.
Your team has been pretty successful in tight games during your time here. How much of that can carry over from last year into a game like this, like part of the culture, or how much is it important to establish a win like yesterday to help it carry over into the rest of the
Yeah, I think you probably need them each and every year. I don't think you can go back too long, but I don't think there's much panic. I think that we controlled the situation there at the end. Being able to go in there and score, use the clock how we wanted to, have conversations about, you know, not rushing, and, you know, you don't want to leave a lot of time left for some of these, you know, quarterbacks and offenses. So I thought that was handled well. I thought our players understood what we were, you know, trying to do. Little conversation there about taking the runoff or using the timeout. So felt like we all were in unison in how we, you know, communicated that situation.
Patience with the rushing game, is that something like you guys discussed that throughout the week? Hey, we're going to do what we're going to do regardless. Like, how does that mindset develop?
Well, not regardless. I don't think you can ever, like, go into a game and predict how it's going to go. You have to be willing to adjust and adapt, and, you know, make some changes on the sidelines in all three phases. But then there's just a sense that, you know, as long as you're in the game and you can continue to be positive with it, and, hey, we're one away, or, you know, maybe, you know, there was one missed block, or there was a missed cut, or, you know, things that are close. You know, you look like when it's close, you kind of want to stick with it. And when it doesn't look like it's very positive, you kind of got to move on to something else.
With Coach Downing, he has said that, you know, he wanted to make sure that your offense is dictating what happens. Is that patience in the rushing attack, is that a part of that?
Well, it is, and it also, you know, goes to set up a lot of the stuff that we're doing. You know, I mean, we were able to convert some third downs that now got us into drives that now allowed us to hit a play pass, allowed us to hit, you know, a shot down the field. But, you know, that all is predicated on getting into the drives and trying to set some things up.
Outside of that, Pete Carroll had said that they were guarding all day against letting Derrick Henry break one. And when it did, from you guys' perspective, like, can you see physically on the other side how it takes the wind out of their sails when that happens?
You know, I mean, I think so. When they, you know, when Derrick's able to get to the second level and run past, you know, one of their faster players and one of their better players, you know, it got started. AJ got us into the play. You know, I mean, blocked Adams. He's down there around the line of scrimmage and does such an excellent job. You know, we got everybody covered up. We came back. You know, Julio was able to get a block that, you know, on the backside that, you know, the play's never designed to go there. You know, just keep asking some of our better players that aren't, you know, involved with, you know, that don't have the football in their hand to be able to help us in other ways. And they did that, you know, most of the time. And, you know, just an outstanding effort by Derrick in the run game and a lot of other people.
Improved in the passing game over your seasons, and how much does that allow you to keep him in that much more even than he had before? Well, I guess whether it's pass blocking or receiving.
Yeah, I mean, we got, you know, it was good that Derrick caught all the ones that we threw to him, and really that was you know, allowed us to get, you know, usually a first down. You know, we had a lot more on the screen. You know, we got to look at it, look at our effort, and look what happened there, which we will. But you know, his ability to catch the football and get up north and south and those check down opportunities is good.
Blocker now, also pass blocking.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he blocked Adam sometimes. He did some nice things. That's just an example of, you know, playing without the football. You know, having to protect on some of those blitzes and being willing to do that, and he did.
AJ usually catches some of the ones he didn't yesterday. You think he was pressing, and you say anything to him to kind of encourage him, or anything stand out to you about him not being able to do that yesterday?
I would say just uncharacteristic. I mean, I think that we all have come to expect a high level of performance from AJ, and he expects a lot from himself. So we just have to focus on concentration, focus on the week of practice, and making those plays and visualizing them and finishing them.
The crowd yesterday.
Mike Vrabel weighing in on a variety of topics after the big win yesterday in Seattle. The Titans somehow improbably came back to win that game down a couple of scores in the fourth quarter. They got it done. When we come back, Austin Stanley of A to Z Sports set to join us. We'll talk Titans. He can talk Vols. You know that guy. He's got hot takes on everything. Love having him on, and he will join us next right here on Blaine and Mickey.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Coming up tomorrow morning.
Fam, the afterglow continues from the Titans' come-from-behind victory against the Seahawks.
And we'll recap the game with Titans linebacker Rashaan Evans.
Plus, the Vols get ready to go to the Swamp. Brian Rice of Sports Radio WNML provides the latest news from Rocky Top.
And we'll be joined by John Glennon of Broadway Sports with more Titans talk.
If you miss any of the show, fam, download the podcast anywhere you get your audio.
J. Mart and Ramon, tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Week 2 may be over, but the season's just getting started at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer, but just $1 on any football game this week and receive
This is Lucas from Mount Juliet. So we've doubled our Lucases with this phone call. Hey, Lucas, thanks for checking in on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
Thank you, guys. It's the Luke Show now.
All right.
I just wanted to say that Lawan is a rare breed of player where he's a multiple Pro Bowl left tackle. There's like less than 10 of them in the league. There's been a lot of people throwing hate at him all week, and as a fan base, I would strongly encourage we stop that before we make the distraction on the team that becomes a problem down the road. But this guy, when healthy, is a great player. We just need to lay off. He's a vocal dude. He's an easy target. But honestly, there's no reason anymore. He's not the problem. The team's figuring it out. We'll patchwork a line and get 2,000 yards rushing. It's what we did last year. So pump the brakes. It's week 2. Thanks, guys.
Lucas coming in there with some logic. What are your thoughts on the Lawan thing? Because we know that he's vocal. And again, Austin Stanley is on with us from A to Z Sports. Austin, we know that he's vocal. He talked after the game and said he got himself too hyped up after week 1, and then he goes out in warm-ups, winds up getting hurt, and we have no idea the extent of it yet. But your thoughts on what you've seen and heard from Lawan so far?
Well, last week, I feel like, you never know how the mental aspect of the ACL rehab is going to be until you get in there. And I feel like on the Buda Baker play, especially, like if you go back and look at that, where 195-pound Buda Baker just flattens Lawan, you saw Lawan's right knee kind of buckle. And then as soon as that happened, you like maybe like a mental trigger in his head just goes, oh God, and just like lifted both feet out of the ground. And then he just went down because he was worried about maybe something else happening. And he was overcompensating with maybe how he was shifting his weight, shifting his power. And he just didn't look mentally back. And the thing that sucks for Lawan in the fans' eyes, they go see Bud Dupree out there chasing around Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson in back-to-back weeks, who had 2 extra months of rehab time on his ACL, but they're very different rehabs because O-linemen and pass rushers move differently. One's kind of going side to side and backwards, and the other one's going full speed ahead, straight forward. And so I would expect that the O-line rehab is a little more tough. But, Lawan's a good tackle. Like 3 straight Pro Bowls, like that's the most any Titans tackle has done. And they've had Brad Hopkins. That's more Pro Bowls than Brad Hopkins or Michael Ruse. And so I think Lawan has a lot to prove. The contract situation is not in his benefit. The Titans can cut him next year and only cost $1.7 million, and they could save like $10 million. So he's got a lot to prove this year, and they just got to get him right. And I think once they get him right, then this O-line will be much better.
Let's get. We got one more Titans call again. We're doubling up here. We got Austin Stanley, and now we got Frazier from Mount Juliet. Lost you earlier, Frazier. Thanks for checking back in. Frazier, are we doing this again?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, man. Talk, brother. What's going on? Talk to us.
I didn't know if y'all saw it where the Seattle Seahawks fan put the sign out there that said 17 carries for 58 yards. First quarter, I thought he was going to be right because he had 35 yards for 7 carries for 35 yards. I thought he was going to be right. In the second half, Derrick Henry just busted it wide open with ended up with 188 yards and 3 touchdowns. What did y'all think about that?
Yeah, Frazier. He showed that guy with the sign who was the boss. Austin, I did like his answer. He just went out and answered with his play with literally, and I know you got a bunch of numbers you want to share, but the 2 numbers I was going to share was his most carries and his most catches in the game. He did both of those against the Seahawks.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry, like I was listening to you guys last night when I was driving home from our A to Z game day show location, and you guys were talking about Henry, and I was like, man, he just had another 60-yard touchdown run. And I was just like, it's so normal. Like it hit me in the car.
Yep.
And I was just like, why are we so numb to this? This isn't normal.
No. And he just keeps doing it, right? Like, oh, okay. Sort of like CJ2K. It's like, I just went 88 yards again. Okay, big deal.
Yeah, well, we made the Zach Bingham brought up the comparison, like minus the steroids of Barry Bonds, but it's kind of like you just expected Barry Bonds to hit a bunch of home runs like every at bat. Back in like 2001, you expect Derrick Henry to have some type of ridiculous run for a touchdown because once he gets going, you're not going to stop him. Diggs was furious when he got outrun and then stiff armed. He threw his helmet down the sideline. Like you're looking at corners that Derrick Henry's beating to the corner, and that's not supposed to happen, but he keeps doing it. And here we are again, just kind of in awe of what he's been able to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin Stanley, our guest here on Blaine and Mickey. He's with A to Z Sports.
Well, Austin, you talked a little bit about Lawan, but what, and where they can go with after the season is a small cap hit if they went in a different direction. If he never comes back and is the same player, that obviously will happen. Doesn't mean he can't still play for another team and play maybe even not left tackle, but right tackle. I mean, you kind of convert and you're not the stud guy or the athlete that you used to be when you had your torn ACL. But how do you view that the Titans and Derrick Henry, the King, still rush for 2,000 yards without him?
Well, I think, and I kind of thought about this in the pregame situation when Lawan went down, you saw the rest of the inactives, and it kind of reminded me of like the Houston Texans game week 2 after that Dolphins debacle in Vrabel's first year when they had no quarterback. They didn't have either tackle because Lawan was out for that one. And they kind of pieced together a game plan with Blaine Gabbert that was really impressive. But this one, this is just Mike Vrabel's style. It's like whenever it gets more difficult, he is a better coach. But then you have the games where, they get beat. But what's the stat? Lucas, I heard Lucas say the stat that earlier today that Vrabel's 8-0 after double digit losses, which is great. But he's had 8 times where his team's getting blown out. Like you can't have both. Like, it's good that you can bounce back, but I mean, it was just a really impressive coaching effort all around by the triumvirate of Vrabel, Downing, and Shane Bowen. It wasn't pretty, but the second half was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on with Austin Stanley, A to Z Sports. I know the secondary and the defense kind of, didn't play so well, last year, if we want to give it that. They played horrible. But this year, one guy that's kind of stood out, and some other guys, but Fulton in the secondary has shown that he's definitely a guy that could be potentially a number 1 corner in this league, at least for the Titans.
Yeah, he's competitive. Like, he's up there pressed man on DK Metcalf, which is a bold move because all it takes is him to muscle you out of there, and then he can go. But 1 catch, 8 yards for DK when Fulton was guarding him. I mean, that's back-to-back weeks of Christian Fulton doing a really good job. His first 2 games as a regular full-time starter. And, Jack Rabbit's been okay. I think whenever he slips, you call him Janoris, but when he does play well, you can call him Jack Rabbit because he slipped against D-Hop last week. He slipped early in the game yesterday against Lockett. So maybe get some different cleat studs. But Christian Fulton, you like the aggressiveness that he's playing with, and I think that's starting to seep into the secondary. And I don't understand what really happened on some of those blown coverages in the back end on the big plays, but they know that they can count on Fulton to lock down one side, which you haven't been able to say for quite some time with the Titans.
What grade would you give the referees in this game of Titans and Seahawks?
I mean, an F.
An F?
Yeah. Well, why not? Because I don't understand how they missed the Julio Jones call. Like, the NFL has given them every resource that humans can have
to make sure the NFL came down. They went to New York to get that call.
Yeah, but I get, but the refs called it a touch. I just don't understand it. Like, the more that I talk about it, the more I don't understand how they actually thought they had enough to overturn it. Like, I think in that situation, it's whatever was called on the field probably should have stood. But the fact that they overturned it makes no sense. The safety was a really bad, or the lack thereof safety at the end was a really bad call. The spot that was missed on the 3rd down from Chris Carton was really bad. I think NFL taunting is worse than college targeting. I think it's stupid. And that was a weak call. But I think the refs were really bad yesterday. So, I mean, maybe a D. I'll come up for my F.
He said maybe a D. Okay. D minus. All right. If you were head of the referee commission and you wanted to make sure that that the referees are held accountable much more than they are now, than a slap on the wrist and you won't get to be a top flight referee crew, what would you do? I've been saying I'd fine them, but I don't even know if that would work. What would you do?
Yeah. Well, and it's like how many of them are full-time employees versus how many of them are contracted. So you get into that. But I think, like, you guys know this, the refs get graded, make them public, make the refs grades public. Yep. Why not? Pro Football Focus is coming out here and grading left tackles 5 minutes after the game ends. Why can't we know what the referees' grades are? Like, make those public. They have such a big impact in the game. I think the fans and the media deserve to know how these guys are getting graded out.
I like that idea. Let alone, let's add this. Tell me what you think about this. the head referee has to do a press conference after the game.
I've been saying that for years.
Isn't there a pool reporter that's designated for each home stadium? I don't know how COVID's impact this, but I want to say that there's supposed to be a pool reporter whose job it is to go to the ref to ask certain questions. I just don't know that situation. Like
well, if they do, where's the information at?
Yeah.
Where do we get it?
Well, because if you're the pool reporter, then that takes you away from doing your real job of covering the team that you're there to cover. So because you have to go do that, it takes you away from whatever locker room you're supposed to be in, whatever press conference you're supposed to be in. But I want to say that a pool reporter can go do that. I just don't know the process of how that works out. And if you have to request, like, hey, can the head ref be made available for questions about, this call and that call or not? But I want to say that's the case at some point.
One more for me real quick, I guess, is in this game, it was going back and forth really in the second half. But what do you think was the turning point for the Titans to then kind of take control of the game? Or did they until we got to overtime? I don't know. Where's the turning point, you think? Or was there one?
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer, the Derrick Henry touchdown run after the Freddie Swain and Tennessee fans who are also Titans fans, seeing Freddie Swain burn your team again is because he did that all the time at Florida, ridiculously at Florida. But I think that the ability to answer back so quickly after that touchdown was important and to cut it to 7, especially after the missed extra point. But I think the defense gets a lot of credit because they went 4 straight possessions to end the game without allowing any points from Russell Wilson. And that's that game where you're expecting, like Tom Brady on Thursday night, the opener, right? Tom Brady's going to go down there and score because that's what Tom Brady does. So Russell Wilson's kind of in that echelon where the Titans defense got 4 straight stops, 3 punts, 2 punts, end of regulation, and then the punt in overtime that really should have been a safety.
Right.
But you got to give your hats off to the defense for being able to give the Titans offense multiple opportunities to do that because Kyler Murray closed the game out in Nissan Stadium last week.
All right, we're on with Austin Stanley, A to Z Sports.
Austin, Lucas was telling us that you did some extensive studying of first down tendencies for the Titans. Is that right? You got some mind-blowing numbers, and we're prepared here to have our minds blown. Yes.
Live in the game, I charted every first down play, and I split from run to Derrick Henry versus pass call because I think first down play calls last week and early in this game were a topic of conversation on Twitter of why Todd Downing was just running into the teeth of the Seahawks defense on first down over and over with no success. So Derrick Henry had 8 first down runs in the first half for 24 yards. Then he had another 7 in the second half, had a little more success, but his first 15 first down carries only gained 53 yards. And then he ripped off the 60-yarder on a first down, and that blew my whole thing out of the water. So I guess like it was that 16th time on first down that it worked. But before then, it wasn't working at all. And then Ryan Tannehill was incredible on first down. He was 11 of 15 passing for 117 on first down alone. And all 4 incompletions were all 4 of A.J. Brown's drops. And so Ryan Tannehill was nearly perfect on first down, and they were averaging over 10 yards an attempt on first down. And it was really impressive. So I think if I'm Todd Downing, I look at this, you don't want to abandon the run because not abandoning the run allowed for the 60-yard touchdown to get the Titans back into the game. But you can allow to be more creative early on the game where you don't just have 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10, or even 2nd and 12 at sometimes early on in the first quarter. Open up with some throws, spread the defense out, loosen them up a little bit because Ryan Tannehill can be effective doing that. And then that allows Derrick Henry to have more room because Blaine, every defense is going to come out there and try to run blitz Derrick Henry to set their tone. And I think Ryan Tannehill is a big weapon on first down.
Before we let you go, I know, again, if people don't know A to Sports, they need to get to know you guys, A to Z Sports, Nashville.com. You're in other cities as well now, too. Austin is the A of A to Z Sports, but you guys also cover UT, cover them well. I know you do in-game stuff and all sorts of stuff with them, but let me ask you this. Tennessee gets Florida this week, the week after Florida played Alabama. I actually like that if I'm Tennessee, right? Because Florida's been in a dogfight with Alabama getting beat up. Okay. And we had Tennessee Tech. I mean, we're out there eating donuts on the bench, and they're playing Bama. I like that.
Yeah, but it's Florida played really good.
They sure did
against Alabama. And so, but how much did they get beat up? How much does that kind of take the wind out of them? Because, without that missed extra point that Florida had early in the game, you wonder they don't have to go for 2 at the end. An extra point ties it at 31. They're late, and you don't know what happens there. But maybe, Florida's a good team. They've got a lot of speed. The Vols defense just doesn't have enough of it. And my gosh, I don't know if I can like, it's almost entertaining of how inaccurate the Vols deep passes are. But with either quarterback, with Milton or Hooker. And so I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback against Florida. It's in the swamp. It's going to be crazy down there. And I don't have high hopes. But just because Florida looked a lot better than I expected them to look against Alabama. And I truly think Alabama is by far the best team in the country. So it'll be a long day, in my opinion, a long night for Tennessee on Saturday.
Austin Stanley, great stuff as always. At Austin Stanley 81 on Twitter, at A to Z Sports on Twitter, A to Z Sports Nashville.com will get you there as well, or just A to Z Sports.com. Either way, Austin, thank you, man. Appreciate the time as always.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Yes, sir. All right, when we come back, Stephen Gallatin is on. He wants to talk about the officials. This is more Steves today than we've ever had. It's Steve Day on Blaine and Mickey. So, Steve, stick and stay. We'll get to you. Also, I've got a college football story involving 2,000 beers. I'll share that next. Blaine and Mickey.
What are you talking about?
2,000.
Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers host the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. Tonight, starting at 7 on your home for Monday Night Football. 104.5 The Zone.
So if you live in Tennessee, you know about the opioid addiction And lots of people weighing in on the Titans game as well. Steve in Gallatin wanted to call in and talk about the Titans game or just to talk about officials because, boy, it was a rough week on Saturday and Sunday for the ladies and gentlemen who are hardworking. All respect to officials, but they did struggle this weekend. Steve, thanks for calling.
I don't think it can be hard work when you have instant replay and you can still make a wrong call. There's something real odd there, you know.
Yeah.
You can talk bad about the President of the United States. You can't say nothing about the officiating in the NFL. Give me a break. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a veteran, and worse than that, we got 3 on this team that kneeled down. And really, after the first game, I didn't care if they got beat 50-0 the rest of the year. If they are going to draw the money that flag allows them to draw, they need to keep their butt on their feet or keep their butt in the locker room.
Steve, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, it was a long weekend for officials, and you can criticize them. Now, when I say that, there's a lot of hardworking high school officials and people at all levels trying to do it. But
it's a tough job.
It's a tough job. But as Steve pointed out, they do have replay. And one of the things, so the officials, and I'll get to the 2,000 beer story because we got a couple minutes here. The officials in the Titans-Seahawks game missed a spot by at least a yard, or I guess Carson was reaching on third down. And now the Titans eventually stopped him. But we're watching TV. We're watching glorious high-def TV. We got more cameras than we've ever had. Watching TV, watching football on TV is just a fantastic experience right now because of high def and all the cameras. And we see angles and, we get 6 replays and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this. So we talked about it in the postgame, and people are tweeting us and saying, guys, you can't review spot of the ball. You can't. Mike Vrabel couldn't have thrown a challenge flag. It wouldn't have mattered. I just wonder, though, because I was thinking about this earlier, and if this is wrong, I'll get 25 tweets immediately. Could he have called timeout, Blaine, to have given them a second to maybe take a second look at it? Could he have just called timeout?
Well, yeah, he could have. But it's about, do you want to keep your timeout or do you want to take a risk on spending the timeout that you think, we can maybe let this one slide or not? I think that's really what the coaches think about, and I think Vrabel does. I think through his experiences, he's learned. I think that was one he didn't want to take a risk on. Yeah, that's just kind of the way it was. But, there's a lot of, man, you go back and look, he did he called timeout with the, 10-second runoff. At
the very end of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then typically he goes for 2 on away games. He didn't do that. He didn't go for 2. He kicked the extra point, which was, looking back, hindsight, it looks like the right call because they won.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking Russell Wilson, I don't want to if he gets the ball, I think he's going to do something, go down and score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, when you're talking about these elite quarterbacks. So he took some risk, and he went with the feel and flow of the game because they were, they got 3 and outs in the fourth quarter on defense. So that was great calls.
He read the room. Now, after the game, though, I know you brought it up, I think, before anybody did. You said, hey, man, when you had a chance to take it down from like 30 seconds to 20 – because of the automatic, there could have been a runoff there based on what happened on the field.
What did the runoff? He called timeout.
Because they still had timeouts. You could have just, take the runoff. We'll run it, call timeout. We could run it, call timeout. You had opportunities there and plenty of time to just run the ball because you were so close to the goal line.
I wouldn't want to give Russell Wilson the ball at all.
I wouldn't have
Did you
either.
watch the Ravens? They did not. Well, they went for it on fourth down, kind of backed up a little bit.
Oh, no, they did.
And he was like, hey, Jack, you want to go? Go, yeah, I want to go for a fourth down. Well, yeah, what player's not going to say I want to go?
Yeah, Harbaugh yelled that. They have a video of lip reading. He said, do you want to go, Lamar? Of course, he said, yeah, man, of course. Lamar Jackson, of course. Well, that was a great run by him.
He didn't want to give the ball back to Mahomes.
Did not want to give it to Mahomes.
Even after they stopped him, like just the series before, but that was one of the few times they did.
Mahomes had never thrown an interception in September. I heard watching ESPN. He had never thrown an interception in September. Until that game, he is playing a different game. All right, 2,000 beers, and then the last thing on the Zone TV chat, Jonathan Heath with a really good point. Here's the 2,000 beers story. Portland State head coach, this guy Bruce Barnum, which the circus used to be Barnum and Bailey, and this was a very circus-like comment. This is a coach of a small team. They're 1AA or Division II. This is a dude playing chess, not checkers. On a local podcast, this guy said he would buy beer for the fans for an entire game if they would watch them come and play Western Oregon. He said, I'm not buying your ticket, but I'll buy your beer. He told this to a guy named John Canzano on the BFT podcast. I don't know what that means. When asked how many beers he'd be willing to buy, the coach said all of them. They had 3,000 people at their game, and they had like the high school kind of looking stands, not like the wraparound. They had bleachers. At 3,000 people, and he bought over 2,000 beers that he said he would buy. But they're about to be on College Game Day. They're doing a story on it.
Oh, okay.
So my man is we're saying Portland State on the radio in Nashville. Tip of the cap to this guy. Hopefully somebody behind the scenes, a donor or a booster or somebody said, hey, dude, I'm going to pick up the tab for you on this. Or just somebody said they would take care of it because this was fantastic marketing. You can't buy a spot on game day, and this guy just got Portland State on there. Bravo to Coach Barnum. Final thought today. This is from Jonathan. He said, let's face it, the Titans face probably the two most mobile quarterbacks and got good pressure. The pass rush looks a lot better. Man, they got pass rush up the middle this week. We can continue to talk about it this week. Harold Landry is chasing people all over the field, tackling.
He's doing a good job dropping in coverage, too.
He is doing that, too. I really liked what I saw from the pass rush. Kyler Murray's not human. Watch the Vikings, what he did to them this week. But they made life difficult for
Autry,
Russ.
Simmons, Bud Dupree, let's keep them all in there. They did a good job of, I think containing to a certain extent Russell Wilson.
Yep.
It wasn't enough of a factor, him running around. I'm sure the DBs was like, hey, well, there was a couple times. But, considering his talents, I thought they did a fantabulous job really getting after him, especially in the second half in particular. They went 3 and out, I think 3 times in a row in the fourth quarter. That was huge.
3 and out in overtime. They got him again. Ola Daney. Should have been
might
safety.
4. Might have been 4 times then. Yeah.
Keep your helmet on, DJ.
That was pretty good, man. So I think hopefully now let's see if you can duplicate that as